Now, they're interested and we're looking at the numbers. How it turns out, I don't know. I can't guarantee what they'll do at the end of the day.
What's the plan?
Well, the plan is to use that $120 million, let them take a certain amount out of it to help balance the budget and take the rest towards the debt, start paying down the debt. Now, it could, let me say this to you, for those of you in the defined benefit plan, it could mean that you may have to give up 1 year of retirement credit.
That's not as bad.
Okay. But think about this a second, and that could mean you have to work an extra year. However, keep in mind what you saw up here. If you get a 4, 5, 6% wage reduction, you're going to end up working longer anyway, far beyond 1 year to make up the loss, okay? So it's a matter of where we use our money to the best of our advantage to protect us on a go-forward basis, yes.
Plus, if they get away with that, we'll never get it back.
Well, that's
Once
right.
they cut it, that's it.
That's right.
We'll never get it back.
That's true. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so if you go ahead with this plan and it's adopted, how does it affect our benefit payouts in the future?
It should have, actually, part of the plan is to strengthen the plan, okay? And it may require some other tinkering, like increasing the vestment period and some other things that are really, you won't feel that because if you stay here, that's not gonna matter. If you leave, it's not gonna matter either. So it's not just gonna be that alone, it's gonna be a menu of things. My goal is to use money that's on the table, knowing that there's no new money, and use it in a way to best protect us. But one thing I do know, whether we start this year or next, we really need to start fixing the deficit in the pension plan. Because think about it for a second. The county report's primary argument is one argument, that your current wages, pensions, and health care are not sustainable on a go-forward basis. So we have to understand that and get in front of that argument and start mitigating, reducing that argument and take it away. So if we can strengthen the pension plan and get it to a point, and it can be done, get it to a point where it's 100, 102, 103, 104% funded, then guess what? That $140 million that go in there every year can be reduced as well. You see, and that could mean your contribution as well as the county's contribution. But it gives us an awful lot of breathing room and a huge buffer to protect ourselves on a go-forward basis. Do you understand both the short-term and the long-term logic behind this?
I'm just wondering whether the same issues are going to keep coming up, even if it's not related to pension, all the other expenses.
Well, look, the same issues are going to be here until they increase the tax rate in this county. Montgomery County, everybody screams and yells, and we're the richest county in the area. You know, some of the folks in this county make obscene, well, I'm not going to say that word. I'm being filmed. You know, there's a lot of money in this county. And, but yet we have the lowest, one of the lowest, if not the lowest, tax rates, both in terms of property and business tax. And there's 3 other counties that are lower than us. Now, you know, even if you raise that just slightly, that equals tens of millions of dollars. Go ahead.
Well, I was at Leggett's budget meeting yesterday.
Right.
One of the things he said outright was for this fiscal year, he's not planning on raising taxes.
No, I know.
Right. That's not on the table for this.
Right, and that's exactly why we're trying to develop a strategy to use the money we know that's there already and is going to be spent, regardless of what we do, and just try to spend it in a more strategic way. At the end of the day, that's the plan.
We'd rather balance it on our backs and raise taxes, because if we raise the taxes, we won't get reelected.
Well, he's not going to run again, I don't think. But
You don't think so?
no, he's going to be
God, I
like
hope not.
in his mid-70s. So that's that. You know, I just want you to know that that's where we're headed. We're also talking about, there's $200 million in assets in defined contribution plans. Those of you that were hired from '94 on and didn't go into the GRIP plan when we offered it, we're looking at what impact that will have on the plan if we were to move all that money into the defined benefit plan. Now, if we do that, we got to figure out what the benefit schedule will be for those folks. But the thinking is this: the more money you have to invest, the more money you make. And so what we're looking at is trying to expand the asset pool that we invest as much as possible. At $200 million, we have no control over in terms of the outcome of the investments. The only people who are making money on that $200 million is the money managers that manage the funds that you pick to put your money in. Because they get paid every year whether the fund loses money or not, and then they get these obscene bonuses at the end of the year on top of that. So we got this $200 million over there that we have no control over, and I think that's just a ridiculous way of managing our money. Plus, not to mention that most of our members who are in those that plan has seen their retirement accounts shrink over the years. And so we need to figure that out and bring some stability to that group of workers, and also get the advantage of increasing our investment assets. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's another piece of what we're talking about. Now, let's talk about healthcare a minute. Those of you in the medical world probably know these numbers, but the rest of us may not, because why should we? The county, as I said, is self-employed, so they pay all bills. 10%, if you look at any workforce, be it public or private, it doesn't matter, the occupation or not, about 10% of a workforce population spends about 80% of the medical dollars. And if you drill down even further, you'll find that there are about 4 diseases that are consuming the majority of that 80%. 2 of them for sure, I forget the others, but diabetes is one, hypertension is another. And all the medical studies confirm that with some modest lifestyle changes, there's an opportunity for those individuals to get healthier and potentially reduce their reliance on the healthcare system. Now, a lot of employers are starting to mandate those changes. In other words, if you're a little overweight like myself and you don't meet a certain target weight within a prescribed period of time, they're forcing you to pay more for your health care. In some cases, they're even dropping you from health care. We're not even remotely thinking about going in that direction. But all the studies that I see and all the training that I go to every year on health care, I'm convinced that first of all, we got to know where we're spending our money. We don't even know what we're treating. We just spend the money and we have no idea what diseases we're dealing with. We finally convinced the county to do a utilization study, and Aon's done it, and we're waiting for the report, and we'll know exactly what diseases we're treating. I'm talking ongoing chronic diseases that we're treating, and then secondly, we'll know what type of treatment's involved in that, prescriptions, so forth and so on. That way, we'll at least know what we're spending our money on. Once we know that, then we can construct some proactive disease management programs, wellness programs, educational programs, and et cetera, to help assist those individuals that are in those categories. Now, we have to do that. We can't continue to blindly spend money on healthcare costs and not assume some responsibility of helping our sick workers get better, because there's not enough money to continue to do it the way we've been doing it. We have to step up to the plate and assume some responsibility for that. not in a punitive draconian fashion, but in a proactive incentive approach. And the employees will benefit because they'll get healthier, and we should be able to finally get our arms around spiraling healthcare costs. We don't have a lot of choices left for us. And one thing I do know, having worked with the county for 30 years, on the other side of the bargaining table, they don't think like that. They're very short term. And they don't care what happens long term. They don't care if the bus hits the wall 5, 6, 7 years down the road. Because if the money's there, they'll just fix the bus and put it back out. But let me tell you the reality of our economy. And you guys are an enlightened, intelligent group. You see it. You can't escape it. If you turn on the news, you can't escape. I was listening to NPR last night going up the road, and there isn't a country out there that's solvent. The only one out there is Germany. They're in pretty good shape, but they're supporting all the other European countries. There are countries on the brink of bankruptcy, Greece and Ireland and others, and we're not far behind. So we can't expect the politicians to make the right decisions that are going to protect us and our families. The only people we have to count on is ourselves. That's what a union's about. And I'm not going to sit still when I know there are different approaches, when I know there are tested alternatives to reducing labor costs, and not pursue them on your behalf. If I did that, I would not be fulfilling my obligation to you as president. And I intend to fulfill that obligation. But let me warn you, it's going to take a little change. And we're going to have to walk through the change. We're going to have to understand the change. But we can't continue to sit back and hope and pray things are going to get better, because they're not. This economy is going to be in the can, I predict, for another couple, 2 or 3 years. If we don't start leading on some of these initiatives and start using the money a little smarter and a little more strategic, then guess what? We are going to be dealing with wage cuts and significant takebacks. And we just can't allow that to happen. So I felt that we needed to have this conversation. I'm not going to paint you a rosy picture, because there ain't one to paint. My job to you is tell you what you're up against, and we're up against a lot of ugly things. But here's what I do know. I know that this union is going to do everything it has to do, legally, politically, and anything else that we need to do to protect you. Along those lines, we're putting together a PR campaign. I just got the proposal from our PR firm. It's got a $340,000 price tag on it. So you can imagine it's comprehensive in nature. And if I can find it here it is. The good news is our international union, I met with our international president, Joe Hansen, and they're going to pay the lion's share of this PR campaign. For those of you that ask what the international does for us, they do anything they need to do for us. Whatever I've asked them to do, be it give us money, attorneys, help at the bargaining table, so forth and so on, we've never been denied. In fact, this strategy we have on pensions was put together with our international Secretary-Treasurer, Mark Perrone, who on a national level is probably one of the most brilliant minds when it comes to pensions.